Hello. Right. So we're building the funky shield wall. So I've done it Blue Peter style. Got all the steps there, so we'll go through each one. Now, what you'll need window block, hinges, gyros, rotors, the mod maglev piston, the mod shield wall, and timers. Okay, that's your blocks you're going to use. So first thing you need to do is knock up a base for this. So you built a block, then you're building a cross of 5 blocks from the centre. 5 blocks from the centre, 1 cross. Then you select your hinges. Alright. Now, your positioning is knobbly bit. See that little knobbly bit there? Facing the outside. So you put a hinge, your knobbly bit facing the outside, 2 hinges on each arm, like that, right? So once you've done that, stick a block on every hinge and do exactly the same. Stick another hinge on that block with the knobbly bit facing outwards. Right, once you've done that, stick a block on that hinge like so. So what you'll have is one arm will have a hinge, a block, a hinge with the head knocked off, right? On the other side will be a hinge, a block, a hinge, a block, and a head, right? On your next arm, you've got your hinge, block, hinge with the head knocked off. On the other side, hinge, block, head. And the same all the way around until you've got a square like so, right? Now, the reason your knobbly bit has to be on the outside is because we're using fractions rather than whole numbers. Now that knobbly bit always points to the minus velocity. So when you've got minus velocity, this block will travel towards your knobbly bit that way, right? This particular build, we want the block to travel that way, so it's going to be on the plus because we can put a fraction in. I'll show you what I mean. So you've got all your hinges, stick a battery on and an antenna. So you can go into your menu, control panel, choose your grid, and that's your hinges there, right? Now I've grouped them, so group all your hinges. I've called the group hinge. Right, Get rid of that. That keeps it tidy. So that's hinge. Then your settings. We've got torque on. We've got some braking torque on. Don't put velocity on yet. Set your lower limit to 0 and your upper limit to 22.5. That's why we've got the knobbly bit on the outside, because we're using a fraction. 22.5. Type it in. OK that. It'll show us 23, but believe me, that's 22.5. Your lower limit 0. OK. And your velocity, if you put it on anything, doesn't matter what you put it on, because all you're doing is moving the hinges into position. So hit reverse and they will slowly move into position. Once they've stopped moving, okay, go to your hinge, you come down to here and you hit attach, and that's fully locked in, right? And once that's attached, what you can do if you want, just to make it more solid, is move this lower limit to 22.5 as well. There you go. So that's the hinges done, they're locked, and you've got a nice circle. Okay. Next step, you need to add a block all the way around, like so. Right, once you've done that, you'll have that. Then what you do is you get your rotors. And have 0 pointing upwards. See the 0 there? Have that pointing upwards all the way around. There's 0, you can see it. Right? So go all the way around where your rotors with the 0 pointing up. And then tidy this up a bit, bear with us. So you've gone all the way around where your rotors, then you make a group. Call it rotor. Call it what you want, but I've called it rotor. Okay, then get rid of them. Then go back into your group. Add some braking torque. Your upper limit will be 90 degrees. Your lower limit is 0. Set the velocity at 2. Alright, so when you set the velocity at 2, see, you'll start turning. Then hit reverse. So all rotors should now be resting at 0 degrees. Alright, that's your rotors fitted. Once you've done your rotors, you need your maglev pistons, which are a mod. Right, that's what they look like. And they go on the end of your rotors, like so. Right, see how they go on? Right, once you've done all your rotors with a maglev piston, go back into your settings and you group your pistons like so. And I've called the group piston, or call it what you want, completely up to you, as long as you remember what you've called it, right? And then your settings, you put shear inertia tensor on, okay? Max impulse, I always put a bit more on, up to the red. You might have to play around with this once it's all set up, because I've found that if you just leave it on the white, the pistons won't push out. So you'll have to play with that. Your maximum distance, your minimum distance leave, your maximum distance, you set to 30 meters. 30. There you go. Right, velocity, max. Completely max your velocity. Right, and then just reverse that so they're back in the resting position. Right, so that is your pistons. Now once you've put all your pistons on, you need to get a gyro, and I put one gyro on a piston, one gyro on a rotor, all the way around, piston rotor, put the gyros on, right, and just leave them at that. And once you're finished with that, you need to get your shield wall, that one, mod shield wall, and stick it on the front like so of your piston. Then you get your window block. You can use any block on this, by the way. I've just used windows because obviously they're the lightest, and they're thin, so it helps with the illusion, you know. So these are straight up, straight down. So you get two window blocks up and down, another shield on the end of that. One ski. Two ski. So you've got that, right? Then back in your menu, and you group your shield, call it what you want. I've just called it shield, and open it. So your shields are open, like so, right? So you've got all of that set up like that. And what you need now is your timer blocks. Now I've just stuck unprettily 5 straight down, but obviously if you want to be fancy, you can get a rotor, stick that on, knock the head off. Yeah, what is it now? Go into your menu. Add small head. Obviously the rotor can go anywhere you want. Find your timer blocks. Right, stick 5 on there. There you go. A lot less room than my massive eyesore down there. Okay, so get rid of that, because I'm not doing fancy, I'm just doing. Now your timer blocks. So remember, all your pistons, rotors, etc. are all set as closed. Rotor set to vertical 0 degrees, like that. All of these will be straight up and down, and all the shields will be open. Okay, like, wait for it, that. So that is your starting position. Now, your 5 timers, get rid of that. Oh, hang fire now, hang fire. Fast. I'm just going to stick an antenna on there. Right. So your 5 rotors, you've got, this is what I've called them, you call them what you want, but this is what I've called them. A closed timer block, an open timer block, a piston timer block, a rotor timer block, and a shield timer block. Now, piston timer block has a delay of 2 seconds. The action is as simple as piston open, reverse, sorry. So you go into your groups, find piston, and just hit reverse. Okay? Your rotor timer block has a delay of 2 seconds, and the action is same as pistons, rotors, reverse. Right? Your shield timer block has a delay of 10 seconds. Alright? Actions. Go to group. And it's open, closed. Right? That's 10 seconds. Now, your open timer block is for it to do what it's doing, so that's constantly opening and constantly closing, right? You would set the delay to 20 seconds, alright? And your actions is shield timer block, trigger now, piston timer block, trigger now, rotor timer block, start, shield timer block, start, close timer block, start. Alright? So what happens there is the shields will close, the piston will extend. 2 seconds after the piston starts extending, the rotors will start turning 90 degrees. 10 seconds after the pistons extend, they will get to their full extension, and then about a second later, the shield timer block will open the shields, and then the closed timer block will be activated. So 10 seconds after that, because it's set on 20 seconds, it takes about 10 seconds for the first stop, 10 seconds with the shields open, and then after that, the closed timer block activates, right? Now your closed timer block is just the opposite. Delay 20 seconds. Your shield timer block, trigger now. Your rotor timer block, trigger now. Your piston timer block, start. Your shield timer block, start. And open timer block, start. So what happens there is, shields will close. The rotors will start turning. 2 seconds after that, the pistons will start pulling in. Now you need that gap, because if you pull your pistons in and the rotor at the same time, they'll start hitting each other, and then clang will come in and kick your ass. shield timer block start. So 10 seconds, pistons will come in, the rotors will be vertical, and the shields will open, and then you start the cycle all over again. If you want, you can take the open timer block and closed timer block out of this section and put a switch. So you put a switch there, and you put the open timer block as open, closed timer block as closed, and you would manually switch it as you wanted. Or you could put a sensor in, whatever you want. But there you go, that's the build. 2 mods used, the rest's just funky build. Alright, keep smiling, ta-ra now.